thanks for choosing this video. Today we're going to talk about the mind-body connection and how it can help you on your fertility journey. Let's get started. So, I'm Kira. I've had a lifelong fascination with the mind-body connection, particularly as it's understood in Eastern traditions, and that led me to study the Japanese language, to move here and be certified as a yoga instructor here in Japan. And eventually, after struggling with infertility myself, I chose to study traditional Japanese medicine and acupuncture here and become certified as an acupuncturist by the Japanese government. So my mission is to share what I have been privileged to learn with you about the mind-body connection and its role in our reproductive health. So, what is mind-body medicine? In simple terms, mind-body medicine refers to the fact that our thoughts and feelings affect our physical health, and conversely, the state of our physical body affects how we think and how we feel. In the Eastern tradition, it's not so much that one affects the other, but that the physical and emotional aspects of illness will co-arise. They're just two sides of the same coin, and that if we want to fix one, we have to address them simultaneously. Now let's take as an example the stress response. Now I imagine you might have heard that stress is bad for your health, that it can impact your fertility, and in the narrow sense that's not exactly true. Stress is actually a very healthy response to help mobilize your body in an emergency. So let's say you were to encounter a swarm of bees and you want to escape. You're going to want your heart rate to go up. You want your blood pressure to rise. You want your blood to be diverted away from processes like digestion and, yes, reproduction, to more critical things like sending blood to your muscles to give you the strength to run away. Once the danger has passed, that physiological response will calm down, leaving no negative impact on your health. So you might wonder what's wrong with stress. Well, the problem with stress is when it becomes chronic stress. How does this happen? Well, let's look at two ways. One way is, as you have seen, when under stress, we are programmed to respond in a physical way. So we see the bees, the whole cascade of physiological events compel us and assist us to run away. Many stresses of modern life cannot, unfortunately, be solved by simply running away. When we get a stressful email from our boss, for example, or when we're, stuck in traffic, or there are so many situations where it's not appropriate to respond physically. And in this case, the stress cannot be released and we might get locked into a stress response. Another situation is that human beings uniquely are gifted with an imagination. And in our imagination, we can continuously replay scenes of a threat that might trigger a stress response, even if that threat is no longer relevant to us, or if the threat is not an immediate one. We can continuously recycle it as fuel to maintain this rush of stress hormones in our body. And this, over a long time, will have a detrimental effect on our health. So we have seen how our thoughts can affect our physiology. Now let's take a look at the other way around. How can our physical state of being affect our thoughts and our emotions? So remember that the brain, the commander of our nervous system, is trapped inside the black box that is our skull. And it is dependent on information from our sensory organs and from our internal sensations to figure out whether it's in a safe place, whether it can invest its resources, our body's resources, into creative tasks such as reproduction and digestion and so on, or whether it's a state of an emergency and the body needs to conserve its precious resources to keep us safe. One thing your brain is going to look at as evidence of whether you are in a safe situation or under threat is the level of tension in your muscles. Now, when you are under stress, a certain group of muscles called anti-gravity muscles tense up. in response to that threat. One of those muscles is the trapezius muscle, which is here in your neck and shoulders. One of its jobs is to shrug your shoulders up here towards your ears. So if you do a lot of desk work or you're on your phone a lot, this muscle might get tensed up, completely independent of any stress response. But your brain doesn't know that. All your brain can see is that the muscle's tense, and it uses that data to infer that you must be under threat. And so it is fueling stress response and stressful thoughts and anxious thoughts in your mind. So we have touched super briefly on how the mind affects the body, how the body affects the mind. I really hope to go into much more detail on this in future videos. But what you really want to know is how does all of this affect your fertility? It's the most important thing to you right now. So let's take it. Your uterus and ovaries require a strong oxygenated blood flow in order to function optimally. Now, when we're under stress, as I mentioned before, a hormone called epinephrine is released, and it diverts your body's blood flow to the muscles in order for you to flee this dangerous situation. And under chronic stress, this can lead to a reduced blood flow to the pelvic organs, which is going to impact your fertility. This has been known for a long time in Oriental medicine, and there is a condition known in Chinese medicine as cold uterus or internal cold, which effectively means that there's a lack of blood flow in the pelvic region and a lack of nourishment going to your reproductive organs. Of course, there's more to reproduction than just blood flow. You also need a good supply of hormones, and stress, chronic stress in particular, has been shown to negatively impact fertility by affecting the endocrine system. So when cortisol is released in high quantities, it inhibits the function of the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland in the brain, which are the top control center for hormones in the body. And it can inhibit the release of hormones such as luteinizing hormone, which are essential in your menstrual cycle and essential to create and maintain a healthy pregnancy. I do not want you to think that you need to eliminate stress from your life, or that you need to be as calm as a Buddha in order to be able to create and maintain a healthy pregnancy. Not at all. Having said that, there are a range of tools and techniques that have been tried and tested over hundreds of years, thousands of years, and for which recently there is a lot of solid scientific evidence that will help you to hack your nervous system and get you out of that fight or flight response and into a state of being which is much more conducive to conception. But you don't just have to take my word for it. There's plenty of data out there to back this up. In one particularly interesting study, it was found that participants in a mind-body program, so a program that includes lots of simple techniques similar to those that I will introduce into this channel to regulate the nervous system, had a 55% take-home baby rate compared to merely 20% in the control group. That is an enormous difference, and that is a lot of babies that got born thanks to their parents investing in developing these skills to modulate their nervous system responses. I would also really like to remind you that there are plenty of cases of infertility that can be treated with surgical interventions or pharmaceutical interventions. And so if you have been trying for a baby for some time and it's not working, please get off YouTube and go to see your doctor. There might be something very simple that they can do to help you. So you might be wondering, what are these techniques that she's talking about? Well, unfortunately, I can't introduce everything in one video. So in the next video, in the next few videos, I'm going to be introducing some of the kinds of techniques that you can use to address issues such as chronic stress, and also to have greater ease on the journey to conception. I know how hard it can be, and I believe that the infertility journey can be an opportunity to really address some underlying issues that have gone ignored for years and which can have a long-term detrimental effect on our health. So let's embrace this moment, embrace this opportunity to really take care of ourselves and build better habits to have a happier, more joyful life. If you liked what you heard today and you want to hear more, then please do subscribe to my channel and you'll be notified whenever I post a new video.